What's up, Justin? How you doing, bud? Happy Father's Day. Hopefully we get to see you choking some people out here. But it's not off to a good start. Let's see, it looks like you and I... Oh, and Danny, okay. Looks like Thursday was a light class. So Danny riding up on a high mount right now, which is a terrible place to be. Looks like you got under your elbow too, is cutting the angle. But he couldn't sink it in. What happened there? Okay. Looks like you guys are just chilling, rolling a little light. Do anything fun for Father's Day, man? Or any other dads in the chat? I see you lurking, Danny. Danny, did you get your macaroni picture from your kid? What happened here? Looked like a little bit of a sweep with a gi choke threat. Hell yeah. Sounds like the perfect Father's Day for the both of you. Mike joining the mats with Pat. This mounted triangle. So this is definitely a spot where I feel like there's got to be some stuff that maybe some of us at the school haven't seen in dealing with mounted triangle escapes, because anytime I've been asked about how to handle these, my general thought, and this works for when I'm rolling or what I tell any other students, is to basically encourage them to roll away from the mounted triangle into just a standard triangle, right, to where they'll finish on their back, and then from there you get to your hips are more mobile, and you could start to work your, some triangle escapes that you're comfortable and familiar with. I definitely want to dive a little deeper into whether or not there's some better options, and not just the ones where you like throw your legs up around your opponent's body from the back and all that stuff. Good adaptation there, Danny, for the armbar. Mike is taking his sweet ass time getting over to mount. Trying to make Pat miserable or make him laugh really hard. It's always easier to work with him when he's laughing hard. Oh, Danny. Let's see. So this was kind of a Tomonagi setup. I guess you didn't get the foot on the hip, so maybe not I guess it wouldn't be a Tomonagi there, but switching over into the armbar, a little low on the elbow, looks like. And then good awareness to just regard. I think you probably realized there you didn't have the elbow. So you said, all right, let's just get back and get safe. It's difficult here to see what's going on. So I'm curious, Justin, what you were looking to do with your right hand. Okay, yeah, you do. Okay, so you had your lapel there. So I was gonna say, so right here, from these, like, it's an early triangle setup, right? The leg over the shoulder, a really hard shuck by there, and you've got a simple pass, which I'm sure you know. You've probably done it a million times at this point. But that's why I was a little confused what's going on with... I knew you were doing some sort of lapel gripping. I don't know, it's so hard to see with two white keys exactly what the intention is. And it looks... Alright, the arm is trapped, so you are in some trouble there. Looks like Danny is too. Useless stuff that keeps getting me caught. Hey, whatever, man. That's how you do it. This whole exchange though it's funny. I don't mean that in a bad way. Danny's totally won control, as he often does against us with that like reverse triangle. And then I like what you're doing here, Danny, and like trying to figure out just exactly how you can attack this arm. You know, the way Justin's oriented his arm, it's like it leaves you with just the straight arm attack here, like the inverted armbar, Udigatami or whatever. Yeah, stepping over may have relieved something. I don't know. You can also, I mean, there are some good Kimura attacks from there. You could also try to hit Danny. But either way, miserable spot to be. And good job in blocking that step over. I'm not entirely convinced that it would have stopped anything. It may have relieved a little bit of pressure on it, right? Yeah, right there. Like if you were able to get that step over, it may have relieved a little bit of pressure. I don't know. It's such a terrible spot to be anyway. So. Austin Brook up there going Gilas. I wonder if Brook's hunting for another powerful throw on Austin like we saw last week. Looks like Pat's trying to come up to a stronger position on his half guard here. Threatening the cross collar. Gets it. So let's look at, I want to see this setup. So this is like there's a lot of space here, which is what I'm kind of curious how he ended up getting this. Okay, so it looks like he's got a very deep grip. Like you could tell just by where the cloth is folding, like with our lion logo right, you know, down the center of the back. He's reached pretty far around the neck there. So good, you know, we always stress when we go over those collar strangles, especially cross collar strangles, that the first hand that establishes the grip is really, that's going to set the tone for the entire strangle. So a good deep grip is essential with that first hand. And let's see if he goes up over the top. Looks like maybe just a cloth grip. And then again, he gets a tap here, so great. I think it comes from cutting the angle the way he has here. One little thing that I always encourage when I see it is bringing the head towards the top hand, as a means of promoting proper finishing mechanics with the way we pull our arms, like how we pull our arms down to our hips, not wide across our shoulders. As you pull yourself in and you pull your elbows down, I think those movements complement each other. It also tends to close down any space where, you know, your partner may be able to like maneuver a defensive hand into place, start disrupting your grips, anything like that. So all the finishing mechanics here look great. One last little thing would just be to pull the head in towards the top hand. And keep in mind when you, let's see if I can do this right. If you reach in with your first hand and you go here, you're pulling your head towards this hand, right? This is what we're calling the top arm. If you reach in and then go underneath, you're going to be pulling your hand towards that first grip. So it's never, you know, it's not always the same hand, just depending on how you like to finish that. You know, I think like some guys out of like the Saulo Ribeiro school like to do the they do the one hand in with the palm up, and then they go thumb in, palm down, and they like to finish that way. Other guys like the traditional two palms facing you, all that. So keep it in mind as you're working on those. And look what Pat's doing here too. As he sets his grip up, he gets his left hand into place, and then his right hand is starting to pull that lapel tighter and tighter, helping him kind of cinch his hand up further and further. So he's really focusing on that first hand grip, which I really like to see. For a split second, Brandon had a good arm position on Mike there. I think we went over this takedown on Monday. That like it's not quite. I mean, it's similar to that standing shoulder crunch position, and Mike just dove underneath before Brandon could do anything about it, which was very nice because Mike also could have hit a. It looked like he was going for the Kani Basami scissor takedown. We see Mike puts his hand down, tries to step his right leg behind, and was merciful on Brandon's leg there. Saved him from hurting his knee, maybe. Shit, what is up with you and Pat here? So, Pat has his grip that we saw him establishing, working up from half guard. Let's do a back take. Focuses on the leg. So he's got the near leg entangled. He could hit a nice, he shouldn't let that go. He could have hit like a banana split. If he, let's see, let me make sure his leg configuration is, yeah, he could work on like a legit calf slicer here. If he reached up and grabbed Justin's foot and pulled it down, he's got a nasty calf slicer. The only thing to keep in mind with those is when you reach this hand up, you don't want it to be between your opponent's legs, because you're leaving yourself open for an armbar. It's just a cheap counter armbar that you'll get caught in right as you're trying to hit a calf slicer, and you'll be really pissed at yourself. You want to reach around this leg. It's hard to tell with all the white cloth, but around like Justin's left leg, over top of his thigh, and then up to the foot. That'll help. That'll prevent your own arm from being in between your opponent's legs. So you can hit a calf slicer with the peace of mind that you won't get armbarred. It's impossible at that point to get armbarred. But he slams his feet down to the ground and looks for the back take. Brandon was doing his damnedest to prevent that top lock. Let's see what Mike opts to do with it. It looks like he's trying to cut his angle for the triangle, for the front triangle. And this is a good example of how and why stacking isn't always your best friend when you're getting caught in a triangle. As Brandon stacks, he's really just putting Mike on his shoulders, which makes it easy for him to cut angles from this inverted position. He's also stepping his legs very close to Mike, which makes it easy for Mike to cut, or easier for Mike to cut the angle that he wants to get to, as you see him hook the legs there. So those stacking defenses, they can get you out of triangles sometimes. You know, if you're slamming down on someone's back or whatever. What's up, Deathcore? But if you're going against someone a bit more adept with their inversions, or if they're comfortable in that stacked position, you're giving them an easy way to finish that triangle, which Mike is probably talking about right now. One thing I definitely learned in the past 2 weeks, and I don't know if I commended Pat enough on it last time, but his mount retention is pretty solid. At least it was against me. He was adjusting and adapting really well to just the various escapes I try to throw at him. This is a rough spot to be. Like a little bit of a hand fight going on. I'm not sure what Pat wants to do from here. If he was searching for isolating the arm, or maybe setting up another gi strangle. What are these two doing? Another thing I learned about Pat, and it's hard to see here, but he likes foot sweeps just as much as I do. So right. Yeah, I think he's trained some Muay Thai in the past, so his footwork and his awareness of foot position is definitely good. Yeah, hey, you know what? Just because we're on delay and you said it after I made us watch it, we'll watch it again. And I want to see what his hand position is. So he's established a collar tie. And it looks like he actually loses the collar tie before the trip. I always like using collar ties just because you can get the shoulders, you can control the shoulders and get it outside the feet, or like get the head outside the feet, get them off balance. Definitely not the only option. Let's zoom ahead. It looks like these two are working on stuff. Y'all are behind the pillar. Chatty Cathy's. A little bit of... Alright, so Pat's in top half guard. Yeah, Pat's been chopping at my ankles looking for those foot sweeps. I think just as much as I like to do to everybody else. So that's good to know that we got to be on the lookout for that. Got single inside position with his elbow, it looks like. Yeah. Oh, Danny, you're trying so hard to come up the turtle. And you would have a headlock too. You'd have a nice. I think we've found ourselves in that position when we roll, just dog fighting through front headlocks. Working his body lock passing. Looks like Brandon's getting a lesson in the finer points of the standing guard break. Oh, right at the time. Good roll, at least from what I saw of it. Austin got dressed. All right. That was a good roll, man. Have you been watching the whole time, Pat? Did you get to see our 1,000 replays of your foot sweep on Danny? I was wondering if Austin would try some lapel grabby with Justin there. Yeah, it was just behind the pillar, so it was hard to see all the footwork behind it, but we saw the result. I was telling everybody how you foot sweep everyone just as much as I try to do. So let's see if we can figure out what Austin's thinking here. All right, so it looks like he's got a grip with his left hand, I think, across Justin's lapel. Let's go back real quick. Because he's got two, he has no underhooks, right? So no control arm. Which is why Justin's able to roll out as easily as he could. He also, I think he shook Austin's legs there, but... Just a good reminder to always keep a thermometer on your level of control over somebody when you're on their back. Like if you're dead set on getting a strangle or whatever, and you haven't, like right here, you don't realize that you've lost good control of the hips. Doesn't matter what you do to set in the strangle at that point. Like right now, Austin doesn't have any like real hip control at this point. All right, he's got his hook back in. And then now, same thing upstairs, right? Like I said, he doesn't have any underhooks, and the underhook is that's going to be, we call it the control arm for a reason. That's the arm that's going to shut down rotation. Kind of in both directions, it'll impede it, and then you get to use your one arm to hit strangles. Not that you can't be very effective with two strangle arms, but just again, keep it in mind. And it looks like he might really be trying to send home this strangle at this point, which is probably why he threw that leg up over the arm. But Justin is also, like, the ideal way for this strangle to finish is if Austin rolled in this direction and had Justin down the other way, and Austin could cut a 90-degree angle on him and hit like a bow and arrow style finish. Since Austin hasn't been able to do that, Justin's spinning in the right direction to to get safe here. I mean, there's... Maybe I take that back. Is he spinning in the right direction? So he's spinning away, which always presents the opportunity to retake the back, which Austin goes for here. But I think, as we've seen from like higher level guys in competition these days, rolling away and exposing the back isn't a huge deal as long as you feel confident in your ability to fight off the back take again. Had he rolled towards him, sorry, I gotta think this one through. Had he rolled towards him, he would have been rolling away from the strangle, so it would have relieved the pressure of the strangle. And because Austin didn't have an underhook on him, or at this point right here, Justin, you would have been able to turn towards your left. You would have been on bottom mount at that point, which, I guess that makes a good argument as for why rolling away sometimes is very beneficial, because you don't end up on bottom mount, you end up disengaged and in an open guard. Oh, getting to taste your own medicine. Setting up a Rabo choke. Trying to. Just snap his ankle, Justin. I think Austin's just freestyling right now. All right, so in this little stalemate you guys are in with this hand fighting and attempts at posture control and everything, one thing that Austin isn't doing that I'd like to see a bit more of, especially right here, is disrupting Justin's hand post, right? Like on the chest here. It's not a bad thing that you're reaching up and going. I'm assuming you're thinking like, let me get in on the collar, maybe throw a strangle thread at him or something. But he's, Justin has based out. He's kind of stiff arming away from you. It's your arms against his, and that's not a battle that you want to get into. You want to take away, you want to give yourself as much advantage as you can in that. So disrupting the hands and then using your knees to pull him in towards your face. Justin's already, look at he's got a 90-degree angle at his knees here. It wouldn't take much to pull him forward. Maybe he'd plant his hands on the mat. Maybe he would, he would end up chest to chest, whatever, but his posture would be broken and he wouldn't have the, those frames on your chest like that. Yeah, the armpit position is good too. I like to use that. So we just saw Mike a second ago going over standing guard breaks with Brandon. I imagine Mike was probably using bicep ties, like grips right in the bicep to do this. Where was it? Catch it. Maybe here. I know he was doing it at some point. Hands on the just like that. Hands on the biceps are great because they prevent the ability to reach up and like collar tie or in gi, grabbing lapels and disrupting posture. But if you're having a difficult time getting that, if their arms are all wily and you can't pin them down, V grips right into the armpits, excellent alternative. Again, I don't think it makes it as difficult to shut down collar ties, but it definitely impedes it, and it like kind of gets some separation between your arms and theirs. So yeah, I agree that armpits are not a bad grip to utilize either. But yeah, as far as that would be good advice for Justin. And then as far as Austin, just disrupting grips, getting him to preventing him from posting on you like this, giving his arms more to do than just creating space between you and him. Remember, everything, even on the knees, even in closed guard, like Kazushi is the basis of all this stuff, right? It's all about getting people off balance, and that's where they leave themselves vulnerable. And even so, like here, Justin, his like the space is gone now, but Justin kind of relented, like kind of closed the distance himself. I not that I don't want to give Austin any credit, but I don't think he managed to out muscle Justin in a pulling contest there. So now he's gonna make do with what he can, trying to get arms across, maybe setting up triangles, all the stuff he likes to do. Oh, fancy. Is that a little hip bump you set that up with? Kind of, sort of, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And to my previous point, with basing all this on Kazushi, that's really what I love hip bump sweeps for. At above your 101 white belt class, you make them base. That's just a route for your leg to swing up and over and start setting up your triangles. And that was solid. And it looks like that's a deep one. Please let the choke work. Don't let this go. That was really good. I really dig that triangle entry. It's because everybody learns the hip bump sweep, I think, early on. So when you start getting curious about other submission setups and everything, it's an easy one to teach. But it's also like at anything above a no stripe white belt, people just base, and hip bump sweeps are hard to finish. So it gives you another reason to do that move. And he gets the triangle. That was great. Was that at the... Oh yeah, that was before the bell. Let's go back and look at it one more time on the setup. And additionally, good timing too, right? Justin has come up from that broken down posture, sits his butt back, is sitting upright. And that's when Austin knows, all right, it's time to hit the hip bump. It's always when they're sitting back, their butt is close to their heels. Elevates the hip. And small detail there, but he puts this leg up on the back to help hoist his body weight up to make his what we'll call his bottom leg, his right leg, lighter and more maneuverable. And then once he's there, I like the shin grab just to make sure he can go down controlled and not lose the connection, the hip to armpit connection. That was solid, really solid. I'm gonna have to watch all that again. Danny and Brooke getting after it. Oh, Brooke with the body lock. You never want to get in that position with her. Oh, Danny fares well. I want to see how she set that up. If she just shot in on it or what. Oh, all right. Danny just went in on a collar tie and she snuck it right in. Oops. So right hand to the collar tie, I imagine his left arm is just far enough away. Yeah, she just shoots it through. And then, small detail here to point out. Notice when she sets it up, like right here at the hand connection, she doesn't stay in front, right? Because now she's got a shoulder under her chin. Like, she's kind of vulnerable here too. So she turns her face towards him, faces him, and cuts her angle, and stays on the body to get a more advantageous position with that connection to the body. And then now, as Danny squares up, her head is below her head. A second ago, her chin was on his shoulder, which is not a good place to be. Now, her ear is against his chest, or, you know, that's... I know that's what she's aiming for. She's back on her heels a little bit, so she doesn't have the ability to put him down just yet. She's probably a little off balance there. But you could see exactly what she's trying to fight for. Like, right through here, she's trying to suck his hips in and drive his head behind his feet. Nice. Way to pummel your arm back in. And look at the difference it makes. So here, she's won all of the inside position. And then now Danny's got some influence over the head. Now he's back under her chin with his arm. Her head is not in his chest, so she's not bending him backwards. She's trying to fight to get the head inside to the center line again. And it almost looks like Danny chooses to go down here. I mean, maybe he's getting a little off balance. His feet are a little close, but I mean, you do that when you want to hit a sacrifice anyway. So stepping in. I think Danny was intending for this to go down at this point, especially judging by the grip he has. Follows through on the throw. It's good. That was a nice little battle. A lot going on there too. Like it just looks kind of frenetic when you watch it in regular speed. But there is a lot of intention there. Brooks' head position is an important part of this move, and Danny knows it, and he keeps denying it. Really nice. He gets the back. Let's zoom in. I don't think we got too much going on with the rest of everybody right now. Going for the arm trap, a little short choke grip. Crank it on her jaw, maybe. Be a real douchebag. Putting her on the wood. Man. Alright, of course you guys go behind the pillar. Oh, alright, Austin and Pat are getting after it. Sorry. Let's look at this leg entrance one more time. I know we saw Austin going in on legs, I think at the last stream on Wednesday. Pat in on a leg of his own. And pretty deep on the, nice, gets the straight ankle. Very nice. Really hyperextending, or not hyperextending, but really like extending your spine on that one, trying to get down as far on the foot as you can. It looked like. It's funny when you start playing with leg attacks and you want to get better, you know, you want to improve your heel hooks and things like that. You focus a lot on the hip to hip connection and the proximity between the two of you. And it isn't until you haven't done a straight ankle lock in months because you've just been trying heel hooks that you realize just how you have to create space and get down the leg, especially when you're short like me. And you've just spent the last you know, however many months trying to get close and up to the hips, you've forgotten just how far away the foot can be when you go to extend away for the straight ankle lock. Ooh, Danny on a darce. Let's see what happens here. Look at the setup again. Oh, miss, you can't strangle me. She's proving to be right about not being able to strangle her. Let me see. I think... Let me shut the chat off real quick because you guys are not seeing everything here. Oh, and he gets it. All right. Rad. That was a hell of a dogfight for that one. I mean, it's taking me a while just to rewind through it. Okay. So, in a half guard position... Okay, it looks like as she turned back into it, I think this is where you started to sink it in. Yeah, you've got underneath the arm, elbow over the back of her head. You're just trying, you're right where you want to be. Nice, very nice. Let's see, let's take it back a little bit further. So from mount, a high mount, turning, probably looking to try to hit an elbow escape. And yeah, the dangerous part here, Brooke, is you are like Danny's in too high of a mount position for you to be working an elbow escape like that. I mean, like you trapped his ankle there, so I mean, maybe you could manage to pull it down and get safe, but I would really focus first. I mean, I hate being at high mount. I think for all the same reasons all of you do too. So when you get put there, like, frame the hips, shoulder walk. Just shoulder walk back before you start getting your shoulders off the mat or anything. Because now your elbow is across Danny's center line, which gives him back exposure. And then this is where you turn back to him and you keep your left arm probably a little low. I don't know. Maybe you just haven't been darced by Danny as many times as the rest of us have. With his rebar-like forearms digging into your neck muscles. I like that. I like how much you're using it to control her initially too. Like you're completely staying on the grip, totally committed to it. You've probably gone through every single conceivable angle against all of us. And Danny, I'm curious. We've probably talked about it in the past, but I don't remember what your preference is on finishing position. Right here, you have a great opportunity to like keep. I'm assuming you have a good opportunity to like get your knees to the ground, and then rotate over into mount for the finish. And it looks like you opt to stay on the side. I don't know if that was intended or if she was making it difficult for you to maneuver. And then there you go for the leg tangle approach. That's where you get it. Okay. That was killer. Really, really killer. Let's see. First time I've seen Brooke tap to a choke, she immediately responded that it was a crank. Yeah, well, I mean, whenever Danny chokes you, you always tell him it's a crank. You never let him know. I can see you're talking shit right now. Yeah. Brooke is notoriously difficult to strangle. It's annoying. Like I've tried so many times to hit her with like an arm triangle and she just refuses. And not because like she'll tap, obviously. You know, she's not trying to tough through it. She just has a skinny neck. For her to stay on my side and give my opponent my leg to control hip position. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that's kind of the classic way to finish darces. I never even considered the mounted position until I watched Danaher's like front headlock series That's where I first saw that mentioned. But yeah, the leg tangle approach. If how you finish Brooke is what you mean by what you just said, I feel like that's the way everybody first encounters those. What's been going on with Pat and Austin over here? Let's see. Where's the Darce? There it is. Austin working his close guard. He's trying for the hip bump, thinking about the hip bump. Pat saying hell no. Everybody stopped to watch the Darce, I guess. Now Brooke is on her revenge tour. I think Brooke taught that night, actually. I hope she went over how she manages to stay on mount against everybody in the room for as long as she does. She makes really, really good use of gift wraps. What else does she do? Let's say gift wraps and like very aggressive head control is kind of her style, which when it comes to mount retention, which when you think about it is it's so basic, but it hits all the essential stuff. Like the gift wrap will totally shut down your ability to turn in one direction, and it's kind of like a ratchet strap. Like once you turn a little bit, you're not gonna turn back. You know, so you just end up giving up the back. And then with the head control, it's essential for elbow escapes. Like you want to turn in one direction, and when she doesn't let you turn in that direction, or if you get there and she forces you to turn back the other way, you've really lost your ability to maneuver effectively. So just in denying like rotation of the shoulders, she really denies like rotation of the hips, by way of the spine, and then from there she can just disrupt your grips and like never let you get set on anything. She got on Danny's back somehow. I want to go back real quick. So Pat, see, did Austin throw up a triangle? Pat with the heavy stack passing. Nice. Working a slow knee on belly to mount transition. It's like Austin's waiting to catch your leg here. And yeah, what Austin's doing with his foot up on the knee at this point, I don't think that that's going to be too effective for much. I mean, like it's good if you want to bump somebody forward a bit, but you don't need to stay there. And that works well to like if someone's in side control and you're trying to deny them knee position, like getting into knee on belly, but Pat's already won that. Yeah. So at the timer, that's right before that, right on the timer. Like this is when I find myself in knee on belly. This is where I first go to. And then that way I'm not posting on, I don't like to post on the knee because it actually leaves you wide open for darces. But posting on the ankle, and think about dropping, in this case, Austin's right knee, dropping it to where it's horizontal along the mat. So his thigh would be horizontal, and then getting a hand at Pat's ankle and capturing his ankle. That's the beginning of like an escape back to guard for knee on belly, using an ankle trap approach. But you can't do any of that in a leg position like this, right? So you want to get your legs flat, be ready to trap the ankle and maneuver from there. There are also some really cool leg entrances from there that you could play with. It does involve getting your opponent off balance, which a knee bump can help, but again, it's kind of a temporary position, so you're not going to be hanging out there the whole time. What happens here? Justin's full-on lapel orangutan. That video you sent us of the orangutan grabbing that guy's clothes, still like I don't like watching it. It just, you hear stories of primates like ripping off people's fingers and lips and like maiming people. It's like, oh god, I'm about to watch a guy die. So Mike was in a good position to try to get the back exposure. So before we go too far ahead, let's look at this. So Mike has a cross grip, like a cross-side lapel grip with his left arm, and he's going up for the cloth grip with his right arm, threatening a strangle, which I think Justin recognizes, and immediately, yeah, you get your head down. So when Mike steps in here, and look at where Mike's other knee is, right? Let's see what he does. All right, so Justin, I know exactly what you're doing with this. We've seen you do this a couple times now. Here's the thing. So all right, let's ignore Justin's reach back on the ankle like that. When you want to get your initial hook in, a great way to do it is leading with the knee, but you've got to point the knee, like if Mike's shin bone was more in line with the arrow, it would be easier. Like you basically point your knee in towards the hips, like in towards the groin, and it's easier to slide the knee in underneath, and then this leg can extract, like it can pull the ankle back, put a nice little torque on the knee. You start to sag heavy over the top with like a seatbelt grip if you can get it, and that's a really great simple way to break down the turtle position. Justin throws a wrench into the works here. You know, if Mike went to go twist his leg to slide it in on that angle, he's leaving his own leg vulnerable. Justin, you would have a hard time here. Like, if I'm thinking about this, how it will go down, you would pull this leg this way, but you would need to cut your angle, kind of bringing your hips around in a direction that Mike is shutting down with his foot here. I hope that makes sense. You guys are still at a little bit of a stalemate here, just because yeah, it looked like you maybe tried to do it there. Like you're a little unable to maneuver in the direction you would need to finish that single leg, even with Mike's leg exposed the way it was. So it looks like Mike's opting for a different approach now. or maybe just trying to get his grips in place. All right, going for a roll. So he's got a top hook in. I have a feeling he's gonna pull his right knee up behind your head, sit to his butt. Oh no, okay, he's got a grip that I didn't see. Okay, now he's in on the bow and arrow. Curious. I bet he set the grip in here, and then with that he was now focused on getting to a cross-side position. Oh wait, 1 second. Oh no, that was your hand. Okay. So yeah, he probably had his grip pretty well established, and then once he got here, he saw his opportunity. That's he had the perfect angle on you, Justin. That would have been a tough one to get out of. Setting up for a knee tap double, but he's opting to go up over the top. Rolling over for the back take this time instead of pulling you towards him. And Mike's opting to go for more of like a high ball ride approach than like the double hooks. And you can see he's got that outside hook on your leg trying to kick you over. I imagine he's probably searching for a figure four grip with the legs if he can get you over enough. Yeah, there he is. And then now he can either work a crossbody ride position, which, yep, that's what he's going for here, where he's got your left leg under control, your right arm under control, working that diagonal line across the torso. And he's going for a twister, it looks like. I feel like he's trying to dig his arm underneath your head, maybe? That's exactly what I thought. He's trying so hard to maneuver you. Now it looks like he's opting to go down to the legs because he could get the twister. Killer. Good escape there. It looked like you just kind of slid right out of that. Just like... okay, yeah, it looks like once you... It's hard to see where exactly your knee is, Justin. Okay, so it's like right here. Yeah, you posted on the knee, hand post to the knee, torqued your leg, and just slipped your knee out pretty easily. Good. Don't ever let Mike get a twister on you. Fucking. Is that... Let's go back, analyze real quick. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, yeah, it looks like that's exactly what you're doing. I wish I could see a little bit better the like what Mike was trying to do to dig under the head. But yeah, I mean, you're right though. As soon as you've gotten your shoulders flat to the mat and that far away, it looks like he's got a hell of a way to go to try to get there. I think, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see what his left arm is doing here, so it's it's difficult to tell if there was anything that he could have tried to undo to get there. But killer defensive reaction. Great awareness. And that kind of goes more towards what I was saying, I think a couple weeks ago after Pritt's seminar, when some of like the newer guys were, you know, playing around with that, you know, his whole defensive posture models. Like, you just showed exactly that it's not an escape in and of itself. It's just a defensive posture that can buy you time to set up an escape or make your opponent work for something else from which you can escape. You know, it's not an escape in and of itself. And that was a really solid example of that. I think Mike was doing all he could to just not let you get some sort of lapel entanglement on him there. Good round. Everyone's just giving up on the gi at this point. Danny looking for a repeat Darce. It's funny thinking back to, like, maybe it was 2 or 3 months ago, we talked about on the stream, you and Danny had been working using the Darce as a threat of submission to work passes. And, like, I guess that's kind of what you did here, but, like, I thought you had that one dead to rights. I'm surprised Austin got out of it. But, like, you know, you guys had set up the Darce to pass half guard, and I feel like you just don't even use it to pass. You're like, I'm just gonna Darce you from half guard. Why would I try to pass if I'm just gonna get the strangle? But yeah, I don't know. I guess Austin just found some room there. Maybe slipped his elbow, or maybe you just let the grip go. Still in half guard, though. Let's see. Okay. So Austin rolled it over. I want to see how you handled that Kimura. Alright, just pulls guard, Brandon steps right by. Danny, remind me to go over a Darce as an escape from back control with you. It's something Peter showed me that he got off of like out of the Rotolo brothers arsenal. And I told Mike when he showed me, I was like, we can't teach this to Danny, but you should know. So I'll try to remember next time I see you to go over that with you. If I don't, remind me. Really, I just want to see you hit it on some white belts, because I'll never let you do it to me. I won't tap. Well, let's go back. Justin, are you just working like more of the defensive posturing, some of the baby bridge stuff there? All right, so Brandon, the grips that you have. Let's look for a choke from bottom. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn here. Brandon, it just looks like Brandon has a weird lapel grip on you, but I can't tell if it's. I can't tell exactly what he was grabbing. It almost looks like he's grabbing your lapel. Yeah, he's grabbing your, like, there's no reason to be doing that. I can't dress it up and say it any nicer. It looks like you're trying to strangle yourself with Justin's lapel. You know, I guess I should probably, like, I could claim some fault for this with how much Mike and I always, well, all the coaches, we always try to remind you guys, you know, when you're wearing the gi, you got, your opponent has 1,000 grips on it, right? So go ahead and use them. This is not how you use them. So if you're in this turtle position and you're trying to advance, you know, escape, advance, whatever, sweep, you know, keep in mind what your options are from here. You can escape to a guard, or maybe you sneak your feet further and further underneath you and you sit to a guard in front of Justin. You could take a more of an approach you might find from a wrestler, where you're going to be cutting your angles. I could see you already have like a hand on the leg. Maybe you're thinking about a single leg approach. There are, you know, if Justin runs behind you, you can try to work like a Maki Komi, you know, the fat man sweep. We've heard Peters call it that. Where, I don't know, he's better at those than I am, so he can show you how to operate that. But in no situation can I think of I can't think of a situation where this grip is beneficial. Maybe you were thinking about what we went over a couple weeks back, because I was teaching a gi class, and it was half guard, so that was like maybe, I guess it would have been a month ago now. And we did use a front lapel grip, but we used it from bottom half guard to come up on a single leg, and work a sweep or a takedown from there. So it's not, you know, I guess that's the little bit of good that I could say out of it is it's a useful grip in a different position. This is definitely not that position. So yeah, there's nothing doing there. And if I'm totally wrong about this and maybe I do have to take this back. It almost looks like you're defending. All right, I'm an asshole and I'm wrong. So Justin has his own lapel here. Okay, and you're trying to relieve the tension, it looks like. Now I can see it now when you guys go to this position. Okay. Sorry. That makes sense. That's a perfectly good time to use that grip when you're getting strangled and you need to rip it off of your neck. Okay, yeah. I got you. All right, Brandon. You win this round. He looks happy to have gotten out of that one. Okay. And yeah, this is the situation I was just talking about, where from bottom half guard you might be able to grab the bottom lapel, or the bottom of the jacket rather. Oh God, Brandon doesn't even know what you're doing to him right now. So Justin, in this little spot, brief moment right here where you switched up to this position, okay, your leg is your bottom leg is stuck in the middle. All right, that makes more sense. I was gonna say, if you can cross your ankles and dig your heels in before he can like fish his hand in here, you're in a great spot. Since your bottom leg is caught, you might be able to assist that with grabbing your shin. But really, all I'm really emphasizing is the connection of your hip to his shoulder, and like shutting down the gap that he finds to pull the hand in, because you're in a killer spot to possibly transition to a triangle. But yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, he did that so easily. I feel like maybe there was some space there that I didn't see, or he was able to sneak in, or you just wanted to work some more of this stuff. I genuinely don't know what I would do in this position, Brandon, so I can't help you. And Justin, just a good reminder, anytime someone's posturing up like that, remember how close their feet are to your hands. An easy switch down into leg entanglements, or just a cheap tripod sweep or something. Obviously, you're probably taking it a little easier on Brandon. Not quite as effective in breaking down the turtle, but that is an art in and of itself. I don't think Brandon's wearing his belt right now, which kind of sucks. I think you could probably get a lot done with a belt grip in this position. Good little leg pommel. Come on, you got it. Excellent. Cool. Let's go back real quick. You probably know this, Justin, but for anybody who's finds himself in a position like this, think about the amount of torque you can put on someone's leg, on their trapped leg, when you have your leg, your two legs capturing theirs above the knee. Like Brandon's knee is, buried in here, like, right here, and Justin's is obviously, just above that. So, what you can do from this position is use your top leg to like pull your heel back towards your butt and capture his leg and pull it back this way, and it just puts the leg into essentially a reaping position. And if you have a good belt grip, or maybe like Justin has a grip up here on the lats. Also, I'd like a good tight waist grip, as long as you're not going against Danny and he's going to darce you. You could then use that to start pulling them over this way for the like the half guard sweep. But once Brandon beats the knee and gets his knee to a spot where he can see it, then he opts to do the knee cut. And then Justin hip heists up. Let's get that real quick. That was kind of sneaky. Because Brandon looked to be in a great spot here. And it looks okay. So you take like almost a scoop grip. You can see your hand poking through. So you grip the legs, go knees down, start to come around. Interesting. Nice reaction. When did Mike and Danny start? Okay, they started down, so nothing cool. Nice step over. All right, Brandon. So let's see what you do for mount escapes, if anything. Because I know I've worked on them a little bit with you. And it has been the mount period for the last 2 weeks, so good. You're trying to get inside position, and then you gave it up. I'm only focusing on what you're doing with the legs right now. Even though Justin's probably punishing you up top. Okay, so before we get too far ahead. So with Justin taking mount, you have options. We've gone over bridging escapes, elbow escapes, and kipping escapes in the last 2 weeks. I am a big fan of elbow escapes as like your primary, numero uno go-to escape for mounts, at least until you get, more proficient with kipping. Elbow escapes are a good go-to. The requisite though, well, I mean, there are a few requisites, but like one big thing is having inside foot position. And right now, this is Justin's foot. This is your foot. So Justin is kind of like, he's grapevining you at this point, right? So it's making it pretty difficult for you to like work to inside position. What you can do is with your free leg, the one that isn't being grapevined, you can step on top of his foot to disrupt the grapevine. If turning your toes out and straightening your leg isn't enough, right here you get inside foot position, and then you step out, right? So your very next move from here is to straighten your bottom leg. You're on your right side right now, so we'll say that your right leg is your bottom leg. Straighten it, kick it out straight along the mat, right? Not out in front of you, just straight, like as if you were standing, and that will give your knee inside position relative to Justin's feet. From there, your goal is to get your knee under his shin, capture his ankle, and then it's to get your knee above his knee, which is indicative of you capturing his knee. So this whole battle that you're fighting here, most of your time has been spent with your foot outside, tangled up with Justin's leg. That's not the spot you want to be. As soon as you get that leg free, pummel it inside, and you can start working your elbow escape. All the meanwhile, Justin is trying to set up some gi nastiness here. Gi Ezekiel. Is that what this is? Nice, good. What did Mike do there? Oh, nice. A good example of the looser style of passing. Look how Mike up here in the corner with Danny. Danny's got this leg right up the center, trying to elevate Mike. It's putting Mike's weight into his hands, which makes his feet very light, or his legs very light. And watch Mike's right leg. Pummels right up, shoelaces on top of Danny's. Extends Danny's leg away. Mike raises his hips and extends Danny's leg out past the point where it's no longer in contact. Mike straightens his right leg out. And then from here, you could, if Mike had his left knee down into like a kind of a knee staple position, Mike could drop his hips and be in 3/4 mount and work to a full mount. Instead, as Danny goes to regard, Mike does a hip switch and just opts to pass the guard. Really cool example of loose passing there. Some of the leg pummeling stuff we like to see from Gordon Ryan. Now he's on an armbar. Was that a tap, Justin, or was Brandon just saying, I don't know what you're doing, or it's not really doing anything? Kind of looked like he shook his head. Was that something you were trying to work that just wasn't, or? It was a tap? Okay. Well, I guess it was verbal. Mike doing a little bit more leg pummeling here. Another example of the threat of a submission in the use, or for the use of passing. He's trying so hard to keep that leg under control. As soon as Mike slips that, he's going to be in a bad spot. Does he manage to hang on? Nice. Good stuff. Really good. Oh, let's see. Shut off the Discord. Cool. That was a little bit lighter of a class, but I'm glad to see you guys working just as hard as always. It's nice to not have to have 8 different training partners all trying to kill you in one night, so I get it. Coach Luke is away this next week and a half, so I will be teaching tomorrow. Coach Mike will be teaching Thursday's gi class, and then Birch will be there as always. So as you can see from this one, gi class was a little light this week. Let's change that. Get to class on Tuesday and Thursday. I know the pajamas can suck sometimes, especially in the summer, but come get strangled by Justin and brush up on your lapel defenses. And if you can't do that, just get to class as much as you can. That's what we want to see, really. If you like what you're doing, you can support us here. Follow us if you're not. Subscribe if you can. And follow us over on YouTube. Go subscribe over there. It's always good to see our subscriber count going up. What else? I don't think we have anything too pressing coming up. Yeah, no. We're about a month out from the Grappling Industries tournament. So maybe we'll start stepping things up in competition class on Saturday. Thank you, Pat. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Oh, yeah, and I'll be teaching Saturday, too. And next Monday. So if you're not sick of me yet, you will be. But I don't care. Get to class, and before you do, make sure you trim your nails and do your laundry and don't be stinky. Otherwise, yeah. See you guys on the mats. Take it easy.